The Starladder Budapest 2025 Major has been an absolute show so far if you've been doing pick'ems, but now that we've reached the playoffs, pretty much every team we expected to see in the playoffs is currently playing. I'm hoping for all of you, and for me, that finally we're going to see some consistent results. Now, going into the first matchup, we have Spirit versus Falcons, and this is a really interesting one because the last 3 times Falcons have faced Spirit, they've won. With that being said, Donk is playing insane right now. A few of the matchups that they had against Spirit was when Donk hit a little bit of his low, Donk's low being a 1.15 or a 1.2. Now, in this major, specifically in Stage 3, Donk has been playing absolutely insane. Spirit obviously went 3-0, although they did have a pretty close matchup versus Mouse, with the last 2 maps being 13-10 and 13-11. Now, with what I said about Falcons and Spirit, it makes this matchup really weird because Donk is playing a lot better than he has historically in the last 3 matchups against Falcons, but Falcons have also been playing really well and beating a lot of teams that they really should be beating. I'm not sure if just Donk playing better is going to be enough to carry Spirit through this, as the last 2 matchups were 2-0, so I'm going to go Falcons. However, I could see this being a 50-50, which is similar to other few matchups, except for the Fury and Na'Vi. Going next, we have Vitality versus Mongols. Vitality versus Mongols match up really well playstyle-wise. This should be a really good game to watch. Mongols tends to favor more of the puggy style, just get in there and do your thing, whereas Vitality is a lot more structured and plays a lot more percentage CS. The only reason I'm going to go Vitality on this is because Mongols did lose Senzu, and Senzu was a huge part of their team. But with that being said, Vitality is probably the most anti-stratted team in Tier 1 right now, as they obviously went on their run. Every team was studying them, not only trying to anti-strat them, but also copy their rotations, their plays, etc., etc. So this is another little bit of a 50-50, but I think the safe pick is definitely going to be Vitality into this. And the next matchup is going to be Fury and Na'Vi. I don't really see this being competitive. I'm going to go Fury on this. I don't really think there's much to say. Fury have been playing absolutely lights out recently, with Fury even playing Na'Vi in Stage 3 and winning 13-2. Now, the next matchup is going to be Mouse versus FaZe, and Mouse have been playing pretty consistent recently, but I'm not sure how high Mouse's ceiling is, whereas FaZe has an extremely high ceiling. With that being said, FaZe, as I've said for forever, can beat any team in the world. They can also lose to any team in the world. So it really depends on what we see on the day of the matchup. Like I said, a lot of these matchups are somewhat 50-50s, which means they're going to be interesting matches, but for our pick'ems, not really enjoyable. I'm going to go with FaZe on this one just because of FaZe magic. However, I could see Mouse winning this. Now, the next 2 matchups that I have is going to be Falcons versus Vitality and Furia versus FaZe. Falcons versus Vitality, this is the matchup that we thought we were going to see at the last major in the grand final, which we didn't end up getting. However, Falcons is a lot stronger now, and I do feel like Vitality is a bit weaker now. Also, kind of like what I was saying earlier, Vitality is one of the most anti-stratted teams in Tier 1 right now, and everyone pretty much knows how they operate. So I'm going to go Falcons on this one, also because I want Nico to get his first major. However, if Vitality continue to adapt to how teams are anti-stratting them, I could see Vitality winning this. Again, another little bit of a 50-50, but I am going to go Falcons just because I want to see Nico get that first major. I think stylistically, these 2 teams are very similar. They both play pretty puggy and out their CS, but I do think Furia is in much better form right now. So I'm going to go Furia on this one. There's not really too much to be said. I don't think FaZe can pull this through. If they do, it would be a miracle, but also that is how FaZe work. I have the grand final as Falcons versus Furia. 2 storylines here that would be really interesting. Nico winning his first major and Falling winning a major in 2025. If we're talking about current form, it would go straight to Furia. However, if we're talking about all-around firepower, that will go to Falcons. For this one, I'm not going to recommend a clear-cut answer. I think this one, you guys should really choose what you think. I'm going to go with Falcons because I want Nico to win his first major. Also, I do want Fury to win because I want Fallen to win a major in 2025, which would be absolutely insane for his legacy. But again, all of this relies on Falcons beating Spirit, Falcons beating Vitality, and Falcons beating Furia, which is probably the hardest bracket of any team in this playoffs. If you guys disagree with me, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think a lot of these matchups are 50-50, so it really could go either way. If you think differently, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. Go ahead and leave a like and a sub, and thank you guys for watching. Let's see how the major plays out.